The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Good evening and welcome to Let's Talk Careers with Sara on Armed Radio. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight. And I know those who are listening, they want tips and advice on careers. And I'm very proud of you that you guys are doing your homework and you are following me on Facebook. Thank you so much. So I'm going to start today talking about politeness mistakes that you could be making at work even if no one has broken it to you yet. So this I got information from theladders.com in their article. When a bunch of people work together in a shared space, team dynamics can shift at the drop of a hat because of one person's behavior. That being said, here is a roundup of ways you could be annoying your colleagues even if no one has told you yet. First, I will start off by not responding to a coworker who just greeted you. Does it happen to you when someone says hi, good morning, or bye, and you just not responding to them? And I get it. We get it. You had a bad morning commute, so now you are in a bad mood. But that doesn't mean you should ignore someone who acknowledges you at work, especially when the person knows you hurt them. And we also shouldn't need to tell you that you should always greet people working in service jobs around your office, but a quick reminder can't hurt. The next thing you're probably making is taking out your bad mood on other people. Have you done this? Have you, you have a bad mood where you had a fight with somebody and all of a sudden you come to work and you just have a bad mood on you? And research has found that witnessing rudeness in the morning can mess up the rest of your day. But that doesn't make it okay to treat your colleagues as badly as you feel. So take that into consideration. Looking for an inspiring way to start your day? Then, I don't know, have a morning motivation YouTube, or sign up with quotes that can just feed your email and your newsfeed on Facebook or Pinterest. Even have join theladders.com, and they have a friendly Facebook robot that will send you a quick note every weekday morning to help you start strong. So keep your angry comments to yourself and try not to wince every time someone greets you with the happiness and motivation that seeped through your fingers at the moment. Also, constantly leaving a stack of papers on the printer. It's fine if you occasionally forget to clear out a few of your papers in the nearby company printer, but what you don't want to do is frequently leave behind sheets and sheets and sheets of them for everyone else to deal with. This can make it really difficult for the next person with a big printing job and a tight deadline. Your papers, it's your responsibility. Next, leaving food and drinks behind after meetings. And it happens everywhere, not just at work, but it happens at home. You finish breakfast, you don't clean after yourself. You finish dinner, you don't clean after yourself. You go to your mother's house, you eat, drink, you don't clean after yourself. It happens everywhere, okay? And the same goes for conference rooms and in the parties. If you are lucky enough to have catered food and drinks during a company meeting, you should always pick up after yourself. Even if the cleaning stuff comes by after hours, it's never appropriate to leave waste behind. So if there is no garbage can or recycling bin around when the meeting ends, find one. make their jobs much easier because you can. Next one, blasting loud music through your headphones. If everyone around you can hear what you are listening to at work, there is a problem. How are people supposed to get the silence they need to work when all they can hear is the latest album you've been obsessing over on repeat? Open office plans don't always make this feasible. If your music is crazy loud to you, chances are it's crazy loud to everyone else nearby. So just keep it down, okay? Nobody needs to hear that. Looking through people you have met before instead of at them. There is a difference between being in a hurry and acting like someone you repeatedly see around the office doesn't exist. All this does is make you look too aloof to care about who is around you. So open your eyes. If you don't know the person, you don't have to automatically become best friends. But at the very least, making eye contact should make the other person feel like they are not a ghost. Next, oh my gosh, chewing too loudly. Chomp, chomp, chomp. That apple probably tastes really good right about now, but you are going to need to find a way to be a little quieter when you eat at your desk, especially if everyone around you is silent. You can't avoid the rustling that happens when you pull open a bag of chips or the sound of your lunch delivery boxes make when you unpack them, but if you keep it to a minimum, you should be better off. Everyone has to do basic things from time to time, like open drawers and use a stapler, but if you exercise caution when it comes to your volume level, your colleagues will be less likely to complain to you about it. So, how many of you have done this and are realizing it now that it's not appropriate what you have done? Just think about the other person who is in the room feeling when you are making so much noise. Now, let's say you have a job offer, and in that job offer, you are satisfied. However, I would really suggest that you would actually take into considerations that there might be some annoying work situations that you can say no, thank you. And a job pays the bills and helps us save for that next vacation, a new car, or retirement. But it should be more wanting to work there. And what would be so much better is if we all had a job that we enjoyed going to every day, are interested in, and rewards us with satisfaction. Unfortunately, even when you actually really do like your job, for the most part, seemingly little things can sneak up and whack you in the face and say nope. In the worst cases, these irritations whittle away your motivation, interest, and enthusiasm over time and make you start wondering about starting a job search. So there are some annoying work situations that you can take a look at. So I will start with begrimed bathrooms. Dirty, stinky, with no toilet paper or paper towels. It's just yuck. Nobody wants to work in a place that has them crossing their legs, praying for 5 o'clock, or limiting their intake of water and coffee. There are two main reasons there could be for bad bathrooms. Fellow co-workers having bad bathroom etiquette or bad building cleaning management. Either way is unacceptable. So how do you handle this? If you're interviewing for the company, always use the facilities during an interview visit. Either ask when you arrive early or request a visit after the interview. If you already work there, report the situation to your immediate supervisor and to housekeeping. A long meeting language. Those yawn-worthy meetings that go on and on and on may make you want to jump ship. They eat up time that would be better spent on what they pay you to do, and frequent go off track into issues that have zero to do with you. So I would suggest just to go into the interview super organized, so at least your portion runs smoothly. If your supervisor is running to the meeting, offer to create an agenda to follow for her convenience. If meetings are frequent, ask if your presence is required, while explaining how busy you are. Give examples. And if none of this helps, you may just need to clear your schedule when meeting time rolls around. Now, another one is idea stealing superiors or peers. Have you ever had an employer, especially in a sales field, that you are closing deals and your manager tells his supervisor that he has accomplished it all and he had closed so many deals and opened so many accounts without even giving a credit to you? And nothing can make an employee hopping mad, like thinking of brilliant idea and having their superior claim it as their own. And if your boss has a habit of doing this, only share your ideas when other people are present. If your email or your ideas make certain at least one other employee is copied in it. Now, speaking of superiors, let's talk about micromanagement. Your supervisor watching and critiquing you every move, demanding to know where every minute of your day is spent, and examining every small task can drive you bananas. So talk to him or her and explain how their micromanaging techniques is demotivating. Ask them why they feel they need to do it, and take the response to heart. If it's because your performance is lacking, step it up. If it's just the way they manage, it may be time to get used to it or look for another place to call work. Employees coming in sick, cough, sneeze, hack. If the coworker sitting next to you is ill but drags himself to work anyway, it can be a real bummer. Not only does it increase the risk of you catching it, the noise can be a major distraction. Ask your supervisor to address the issue if employees make it a habit of rolling in under the weather. Suggest the offender be sent home so others won't get sick. If that doesn't work, load up on hand sanitizer and stay as far away from the sick person as possible. Next is no regard for personal life. Yes, you want to be a good employee, but you have a life outside of work too. A work culture that expects frequent nights and weekends working or constantly makes you take work home can drag your mojo down fast. So be extremely productive while you are in the office. If you still get loaded down, tell your boss you will not keep taking work home all the time, and you won't come in every weekend. This one is difficult to deal with because if being overworked is woven into the company's culture, it's difficult to change. So it's time to update your resume. Lack of coworker hygiene. A surprising number of people don't bathe or wash their hair or use deodorant regularly. If one or more of those employees sit near you, the smell and appearance of the person probably grosses you out and makes you wonder why you bother. So my suggestion is just ask human resources to address the individual, or at least send an email reminding all employees of the dress code. And the key takeaway here is don't suffer in silence. Before you shine up your old resume, talk to someone in the company, either your boss or human resources, calmly about the issue. Many times a simple conversation will resolve it. If this doesn't work, be prepared to look for another job. Now I want to go and discuss about what makes a job that is awesome. What are awesome work situations that make you say, yes, I got this job? And we all want to be compensated well at our jobs. And previously, I have discussed that work can make us miserable even with a fat paycheck. But there are some workplace situations that, for some, come by so rarely that they are worth their weight in gold, and they have nothing to do with the salary. These are the things that make any person wake up excited to go into work and more likely to work harder to perform their best. Before you only look at the pay and number of vacation days when mulling over a job offer, or even if you are decently content at your job and are just curious, so you have to check some of these awesome work situations that make you say yes. First is team bonding. Going to work every day is more fun if you like your coworkers. And having friendly, interesting people working alongside you is a nice bonus in the workplace and makes a dramatic difference in job satisfaction. Being able to bond with people who have similar personalities and who are nice and funny can make even a boring job more colorful and enjoyable, and ranks up there as one of the best things to have at work. I know in my previous work where assistant teachers and teachers were collaborating together and having lunches together and having breaks together, and because no matter how much they were getting very little, very minimum wage. They were not actually seeking outside work because this kind of team bonding, they did not have it elsewhere in their experiences before. And for them saying, if I go to a new job, I'm not going to experience this bond. I'm going to lose this friendship, this relationship. So team bonding is really valuable to have a beautiful atmosphere in the workplace. Another one is crushing a project ahead of schedule, under budget, greater return on investment than expected. All of these are what we crave to hear. Nothing makes a dedicated employee who has given their all more excited than knowing the project they've been working on is a rousing success. When it happens, it pays to enjoy it to the fullest extent. Invitations to play. Some companies sponsor an employee baseball or basketball team, while others have scheduled bowling nights, pool tournaments, and bridge games. If your company gives employees an opportunity to have fun and play, you can feel confident that you are an integral part of the company and that your company understands that friendly competition is a great boost to employee morale. Another bonus, you've been woven into the company culture along with your coworkers. Congrats to that. Party at the boss's house. Most of the time, an employee's interaction with their superior is at work under professional boundaries. Getting a chance to throw some burgers on the grill and chill out with a big kahuna is a fantastic opportunity. With a more relaxed vibe, you can show your personality and get to know him or her better without the constraints of normal work hours and stressful deadlines. Next is workspace zen. Ample room for your desk and laptop close to your team members promotes collaboration and creativity, as does interesting wall art, nice use of color, comfortable furniture, and even the presence of pets at work. The work environment has a lot of impact on creativity and stress management, so keep an eye out for intentional ways a company makes life better for employees through the work environment itself. Next is appreciation inspiration. Everyone wants to feel appreciated for job well done. Extra bonuses, employee awards, recognition lunches, and other special perks for giving 110% are important to an employee's morale and overall job satisfaction. Your boss showing appreciation with a $10 gift card or a note of thanks goes a long way toward feeding your fire to jump the next hurdle. I remember I was on the verge of quitting my job to be as a catering coordinator, and I was doing fantastic. As soon as I got in the job, I was really showing great results, better customer satisfaction. So I was on the verge of quitting because the hours were really long and really tiring, and I had I was a full-time student at that time, and I couldn't hold a full-time job. So on the meeting, they gave, for those who had a great outstanding performance, $50 Best Buy gift card. For me, it was wow, because even though it was really not much, but I felt appreciated in front of everybody that I got a $50 gift card for that. So it's really good. It's a really good incentive to stay at the job, and it gives others also hope that they are going to be the next ones to be appreciated in front of everybody. Another one is bodacious brainstorming. While long, unproductive meetings make us pull out our hair, a burst of creativity has the opposite effect. When teams come together and bounce ideas around until one of them formulates into a plan, everyone involved gets excited. Figuring out a way to shave a percentage off of a costly process, nailing a branding message, or figuring out a way to serve clients better has us all pumping our fists and yelling yes. Next is family picnics, companies that fosters a culture of caring about and considering their workers' personal lives deserve a big hearty yes. Employees who get to know their co-workers, spouses, and kids benefit from feeling like they are a part of a big company family. Periodic picnics where family members are included, along with other family-friendly activities and events, enrich the work experience and build stronger team bonds. Philanthropic participation. We spend most of our time with co-workers actually at work. So it's a treat when we get to change it up. It's an awesome day when a manager says, let's go make a difference in the community. Whether it's serving the hungry in a soup kitchen, building a playground, or working in a race to raise the money, giving back to the community charities makes everyone feel good. Choosing where to work is a big decision, and your answer shouldn't be only because of the salary involved. By asking probing questions, you will be able to learn more about the way your family life would unfold as a company employee. And there are more other work situations like that, but this would make your life happier and more productive and help you say yes to your career. So having this in mind is really an opportunity in disguise. You have to be a little bit thinking what others are offering that you might be capable of taking opportunity and using it for yourself. Now, how do we make better decisions, right? We are struggling sometimes to make better decisions. And do you ever look back on your decisions and think, why on earth did I do that? We all make bad decisions. Buying an SUV that sucks up all of your cash, starting a relationship without being in love, saying yes to a job that you are not passionate about, creating products that no one needs. So things happen. We make bad decisions. But the funny thing is that bad decisions never seem like bad decisions in the moment. And I've been reading about the decision-making process by Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, two of the most successful investors of all time. And the book is called In Alice Schroeder's Biography of Warren Buffett. I read that Buffett and Munger have a learning strategy that's based on what you should avoid doing. They identify mistakes and do their best to avoid those mistakes. So, like Charlie Munger says, smart people do dumb things. You can never avoid making a mistake. However, you can avoid making the same mistake more than once. Plus, By learning from other people's mistakes, you can make their mistakes your own, and you will learn faster that way. So don't overthink. Smart people are way too preoccupied with doing the right things. They want to have the perfect life, career, house, business, perfect car, perfect holiday, etc. And when you put too much pressure on yourself to make the right decisions, you get analysis paralysis. And I recently spoke to a friend who wanted to make a career move, and I asked him to walk me through his thinking process. And this is what his response was. I like the company I work for, but my job isn't engaging anymore. I've been doing this work for 4 years, and sure, I've been promoted twice, but it's still the same work. So I've been looking at other companies, but what if I go somewhere else and that doesn't work out? I'll have to move on quick, and that won't look good on my resume. So just hearing myself talk leads me to another thing, overthinking it. We both laughed our asses off. I can do the same with overthinking, yet I bet you've been there too. When you overanalyze every single decision, you become paralyzed, and the result is nothing. Now that's a bad outcome. That's how people end up wasting their lives. The only way you can stop overthinking is making yourself aware of your thinking process. When I asked my friend about his thinking, he became aware of how irrational his process was. You can't control the future, so stop thinking about it. So what I will suggest is do these things instead. Make small decisions and decide often. And I recently read Seeking Wisdom by Peter Bevelin. It's about the way Charlie Munger thinks. One of his decision-making strategies is to avoid mistakes, but that can be interpreted in different ways. You can fear decisions altogether because you might make mistakes. What happens is that you don't make decisions at all. And as Munger says, the difference between a good business and a bad business is that a good business throws up one easy decision after another. The bad businesses throw up painful decisions time after time. You can interpret that Munger quote in different ways. I interpret it as follows. When you make small decisions early before they become big, it's easy. When you put off decisions, they become big and painful. For example, I'm not happy with the email provider I use to send out my newsletter, and their support is slow. There is no good integration with my online courses platform, and readers have complained about not getting my newsletter. This is something that's on my radar for more than 1.5 years at the time. My list was less than half of the size it's today. I also had only one online course. Now I have 3. The hassle of moving to another provider gets bigger every day. Had I moved early, it was easy. By now, it's a painful process. In life, it's exactly the same. The longer you stay in a bad relationship, the harder it gets to leave. It's also true for your job. An earlier decision leads to better decisions. The earlier you make your decisions, the more chance that you make better decisions. I often say that there are no right or wrong decisions, only decisions. That's not entirely accurate. Of course, there's difference in the quality of our decisions. That's the topic of another show. But there's the thing, not making a decision is also a decision. It's a choice to put things off until another time. So in effect, you are making decisions all the time. Instead of making fewer decisions, we need to make them earlier. Because all of you need are a few good decisions in your lifetime anyway. What will be your best? You only find out after you guessed it, you've made a decision. Now I want to move forward and say about resumes. Okay, so now you made a decision that you need a job, that you need a better job. So there are some things that I want to recommend to do on your resume. And there are little changes that will make a big difference with your resume. So, are you wondering how to get recruiters to notice your resume and application? And I'm going to show you some secrets to a more powerful resume. Like it or not, your application to your dream job isn't going straight to the person hiring for the role. Instead, it has to pass through a gatekeeper, typically someone in HR, who is responsible for vetting resumes before passing them along to the very busy hiring manager. This is the speed dating round. You have only a few seconds to make a good impression or risk getting tossed into the reject pile. If you do make a good impression, a hiring manager will look at your resume like they might an online dating profile. They know exactly what they are looking for in a candidate, and a few misused words on your profile or resume could cost you your chance at the position. Even though you liked the company enough to send the first message, you'll receive the dreaded thanks but no thanks email in return that will have you wondering where you went wrong. So how does your resume attract enough attention to get invited on first date or interview? So here are the little changes that will make a big difference on your resume. First, remove the fluffy, cliched, generic, or obvious statements. For example, I have excellent communication skills and I am a pro multitasker. Even if this statement rings true, it's also so overused that the hiring manager won't give it a second thought. Be specific about your skill set. Don't just copy terms from resume samples that you think fit you. Chances are they describe everyone else as well. Now, remove broad, generic, and outdated skills. For example, if you are writing, I am proficient in Microsoft Office 2007 or 2000, I don't know if there is 2018. So every time you update your resume, take a careful look at your skills listed. Be sure your skills are not too broad. Computers, for example, outdated, like Office 2007, we're 2018 already, or generic, like phone. Just list skills relevant to the position you are applying for and leave the extras out. Next is put education in its place. Do you want to put more emphasis on your education or your work history? The answer to that question will tell you whether your education belongs at the top or the bottom of your resume. One of the biggest mistakes is prioritizing a newly earned degree. Even if you worked in that industry for a significant amount of time, gatekeepers and hiring managers might see your resume, assume you're a new grad with little experience, and move on to the next candidate. Next is don't take style risks. Be bold in your interview, but not on your resume. Italicizing, highlighting, or underlining keywords can cause your resume to appear distracting, cluttered, and unprofessional. Keep it simple. Next, just show, don't tell. Don't just list your accomplishments. Rather, show how you exceeded, which sounds better. Made $500K in sales in 2014, or exceeded sales quota by $100K, making $500K in first year sales. Sure, $500K in sales seems impressive, but it needs to be put into context. For example, what if your yearly quota was $1 million? The second example shows that you exceeded expectations, making you an asset to any team. Next is ditch the headline. If the first thing a gatekeeper or hiring manager sees on your resume is a headline unrelated to the role you're applying for, you won't get a second glance. Into the reject pile you will go. If you want them to keep reading, you have two options: ditch the headline or change your resume for every role. Option 2 is clearly the better bet. However, if you don't want to put in the effort, Simply remove the title from your resume. So I had a candidate who gave me a resume to review for her. I do free audits. I don't charge for audits. So I saw on her resume she was a medical biller. She was a psychologist in some school as a case coordinator, and then she was a teacher in a school. So I asked her, what position are you applying for? And she said, anything that will fit. I said to her, no, it doesn't work like that, because if you want to write a resume, you need to know what skills you are going to highlight. You need to know what experience you need to highlight. You can't highlight everything. It will just make them confused. Like it made me confused. Are you looking to be a teacher? Are you looking to be a psychologist? Are you looking to be a case coordinator? What are you looking for? So she was confused herself, and then we had to talk about what is her most passion about the job, what she likes to do. And she said she likes psychology. So we decided to work on some of her skills to shine on the resume. Whatever else, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares if you are a medical biller, if you're going to be working with kids. Nobody cares if you are a teacher, if you're going to be working in a medical field. You have to know what exactly drives you. Otherwise, you're going to be working crazy, having about 5 different resumes for 5 different positions. You have to know what you want. Don't waste your time for anything. Now, the next thing is pay attention to location. Some companies don't want to consider an out-of-state candidate for a job opening, as interviews and relocations can be pricey. Some gatekeepers and hiring managers frequently disregard out-of-state candidates because they misinterpret the requirements or details of the position. They didn't see the location, thought it was freelance, etc. If you are looking to relocate, whether it's to be closer to a family member or otherwise, be sure to state the reason in your resume and cover letter. This shows that you didn't make a mistake in applying to a job situated halfway across the country. And a gatekeeper and hiring manager won't be wasting their time by following up with you. So take this into considerations, that's what you need to be thinking about when it's time to write a resume. Now, there might be a question. Let's say you are, after you've done the resume, you fixed those mistakes, and now you are getting a call for an interview. And they might ask you the first thing about to start to warm up conversation with an interview. They will ask first to tell me about yourself. And you know it's coming because everybody asks this. It's just a warm-up conversation. And it's the most feared question during any job interview. And do you think I will look good in a cowboy hat if anybody asks me to tell me about myself? I'm just kidding. The real question is, can you tell me about yourself? Blech. What a boring, vague, open-ended question. Who likes answering that? I know, I'm with you, but unfortunately, hiring managers and recruiters ask the question. Even if you are not interviewing and you are out networking in the community, you need to be ready to hear it and answer it at all times. And before I share memorable answers, consider these 2 essential elements behind the answers. The medium is the message. The interviewer cares less about your answer to this question and more about the confidence, enthusiasm, and passion with which you answer it. And the next thing is the speed of the response is a response. The biggest mistake you could make is pausing, stalling, or fumbling at the onset of your answer, thus demonstrating a lack of self-awareness and self-esteem. And best sample answers to the most job interview questions are here. I'm going to be sharing them with you, so take a pen and a paper and start writing them. And next time you're faced with a dreaded "tell me about yourself" question, try to say like this: I can summarize who I am in 3 words. That grabs their attention immediately. Demonstrates your ability to be concise, creative, and compelling. The next thing you can say, the quotation I live my life by is blank. Okay? Proves that personal development is an essential part of your growth plan. And it also shows your ability to motivate yourself. Next, you can say, my personal philosophy is blank. Companies hire athletes, not shortstops. This line indicates your position as a thinker, not just as an employee. Next, you can say, people who know me best say that I am blank. This response offers insight into your own level of self-awareness. Or you can say, well, I Googled myself this morning and here's what I found. You are tech savvy, fun, cool. People would say this, unexpected and memorable. Or you can say, my passion is blank. People don't care what you do. People care who you are. And what you're passionate about is who you are. Plus, passion unearths enthusiasm. The other thing you can say, when I was 7 years old, I always wanted to be blank, right? A profession. An answer like this shows that you have been preparing for this job your whole life, not just the night before. Or you can say, if Hollywood made a movie about my life, it would be called blank. Okay, this is engaging, interesting, and entertaining. It makes everybody laugh. You can also answer this way: can I show you instead of tell you? Then pull something out of your pocket that presents who you are. Or if you have a portfolio with you, and who could resist this answer? Who could forget this answer? It will be just memorable. The next thing you can say, the compliment people give me most frequently is blank, almost like a testimonial. And this response also indicates self-awareness and openness to feedback. Now, keep in mind that these examples are just the opener. The secret is thinking how you will follow up each answer with relevant, interesting, and concise explanations that make the already bored interviewer look up from his stale coffee and think, wow, that's the best answer I've heard all day. Ultimately, it's about answering quickly, it's about speaking creatively, and it's about breaking people's patterns. I understand your fear with such answers. Responses like this are risky, unexpected, and unorthodox, and that's exactly why they work. Otherwise, you become yet another non-entity in the gray mass of blah blah blah. You are hireable because of your answers. When people ask you to tell them about yourself, make them glad they asked. And let me ask you this. How much time did you dedicate this week to becoming more interesting? And it's just, for me, I would just say exactly the same thing for myself. How much time did you dedicate this week to becoming more interesting? So we have to at least give for ourselves 15 minutes a day to work on our answers. And have you ever thought about some rituals that make people happy? And there are new neuroscience rituals that will make you happy. And you get all kinds of happiness advice on the internet, right? From people who don't know what they're talking about. So don't trust them. Actually, don't trust me either. Trust neuroscientists. They study that gray blob in your head all day and have learned a lot about what truly will make you happy. UCLA neuroscience researcher Alex Korb has some insight that can create an upward spiral of happiness in your life. And here's what you and I can learn from the people who really have answers. The most important question to ask when you feel down. Sometimes it doesn't feel like your brain wants you to be happy. You may feel guilty or shameful. But why? Believe it or not, guilt and shame activate the brain's reward center. And despite their differences, pride, shame, and guilt all activate similar neural circuits, including the dorsomedial prefrontal cortex, amygdala, insula, and the nucleus accumbens. Interestingly, pride is the most powerful of these emotions at triggering activity in these regions, except in the nucleus accumbens, where guilt and shame win out. And this explains why it can be so appealing to heap guilt and shame on ourselves. They are activating the brain's reward center. And you worry a lot too. Why? In the short term, worrying makes your brain feel a little better. At least you are doing something about your problems. In fact, worrying can help calm the limbic system by increasing activity in the medial prefrontal cortex and decreasing activity in the amygdala. That might seem counterintuitive, but it just goes to show that if you are feeling anxiety, doing something about it, even worrying, is better than doing nothing. But guilt, shame, and worry are horrible long-term solutions. So what do neuroscientists say you should do? Now ask yourself these questions. What am I grateful for? Yeah, gratitude is awesome, but does it really affect your brain at the biological level? Yes. You know what the antidepressant Wellbutrin does? It boosts the neurotransmitter dopamine. So does gratitude. The benefits of our gratitude start with the dopamine system, because feeling grateful activates the brainstem region that produces dopamine. Additionally, gratitude toward others increases activity in social dopamine circuits, which makes social interactions more enjoyable. And know that Prozac does? It boosts the neurotransmitter serotonin. So does gratitude. One power effect of gratitude is that it can boost serotonin. Trying to think of things you are grateful for forces you to focus on positive aspects of your life. This simple act increases serotonin production in the anterior cingulate cortex. I know sometimes life lands a really mean punch in the gut, and it feels like there is nothing to be grateful for. But guess what? Doesn't matter. You don't have to find anything. It's the searching that counts. It's not finding gratitude that matters most. It's remembering to look in the first place. Remembering to be grateful is a form of emotional intelligence. One study found that it actually affected neuron density in both the ventromedial and lateral prefrontal cortex. These density changes suggest that as emotional intelligence increases, the neurons in these areas become more efficient. With higher emotional intelligence, it simply takes less effort to be grateful. And gratitude doesn't just make your brain happy, it can also create a positive feedback loop in your relationships. So express that gratitude to the people you care about. But what happens when bad feelings completely overtake you? When you're really in the dump and don't even know how to deal with it? There is an easy answer. Label negative feelings. You feel awful. Okay, give that awfulness a name, right? Sad, anxious, angry. Boom, it's that simple. It sounds stupid? You're not going to disagree. Suppressing emotions doesn't work and can backfire on you. But labeling, on the other hand, makes a big difference. To reduce arousal, you need to use just a few words to describe an emotion and ideally use symbolic language, which means using indirect metaphors, metrics, and simplifications of your experience. This requires you to activate your prefrontal cortex, which reduces the arousal in the limbic system. So the bottom line is describe an emotion in just a word or two, and it helps reduce the emotion. We should really try that. In fact, labeling affects the brain so powerfully it works with other people too. Labeling emotions is one of the primary tools used by others who want to, who are like FBI hostage negotiators. Now, the next thing you can know is just make that decision. Ever make a decision and then your brain finally feels at rest? That's no random occurrence. Brain science shows that making decisions reduces worry and anxiety, as well as helping you solve problems. But deciding can be hard, I agree. So what kind of decision should you make? Neuroscience has an answer. Make a good enough decision. Don't sweat making the absolute 100% best decision. We all know being a perfectionist can be stressful, and brain studies back this up. Trying to be perfect overwhelms your brain with emotions and makes you feel out of control. And so when you make a decision, your brain feels you have control. And as I've talked about before, now feeling of control reduces stress. But here's what's really fascinating. Deciding also boosts pleasure. And there was a study that they give 2 rats injections of cocaine. Rat A had a pull of lever first. Rat B didn't have to do anything. Any difference? Rat A gets a bigger boost of dopamine. So what's the lesson here? Next time you buy cocaine, I'm sorry, that's a wrong lesson. Point is, when you make a decision on a goal and then achieve it, you feel better than when good stuff just happens by chance. And this answers the eternal mystery of why dragging your butt to the gym can be so hard. If you go because you feel you have to or you should, well, it's not really a voluntary decision. Your brain doesn't get the pleasure boost. It just feels stressed, and that's no way to build a good exercise habit. So make more decisions. That's what neuroscience researchers suggest. We don't just choose the things we like, we also like the things we choose. Now, you are being grateful, labeling negative emotions, and making more decisions. That's great. But this is feeling kind of lonely for happiness prescription. Let's get some other people in here. What's something you can do with others that neuroscience says is a path of mutual happiness, and something that simply, so you don't get lazy and skip it? Brain docs have an answer for you. Touch people. No, not discriminantly. That can get you in a lot of trouble. But we need to feel love and acceptance from others. When we don't, it's painful. And I don't mean awkward or disappointing, I mean actually painful. Neuroscientists did a study where people played a ball tossing video game. The other players tossed the ball to you and you tossed it back to them. Actually, there were no other players. That was all done by the computer program. But the subjects were told the characters were controlled by real people. So what happened when the other players stopped playing nice and didn't share the ball? So the brains responded the same way as if they experienced a physical pain. Rejection doesn't just hurt like broken heart. Your brain feels it like a broken leg. So relationships are very important to your brain's feelings of happiness. And want to take that to the next level? Touch people. Touching is incredibly powerful. We just don't give it enough credit. It makes you more persuasive, increases team performance, improves your flirting, hacks, if even boosts math skills. And touching someone you love actually reduces pain. In fact, when studies were done on married couples, the stronger the marriage, the more powerful the effect. So you can hug, you can just shake hands. So even you can hug someone today, and do not accept little quick hugs. No. Tell them your neuroscientist recommended long hugs. A hug, especially a long one, releases neurotransmitter and hormone oxytocin, which reduces the reactivity of the amygdala. And research shows getting 5 hugs a day for 4 weeks increases happiness big time. And don't have anyone to hug right now? No? I'm sorry to hear that. I would give you a hug right now if I could, but there is an answer. Neuroscience says you should go get a massage. So spend time with other people and give some hugs. Sorry, texting is not enough. And when you put people in a stressful situation and then let them visit loved ones or talk to them on the phone, they felt better. What about when they just texted? Their bodies responded the same as if they had no support at all. The text message group had cortisol and oxytocin levels similar to the no contact group. I am running out of time, so that will be another topic we'll discuss in my show perhaps next Wednesday. And I would like to say thank you for those who are listening to me. Thank you so much for doing your homework, by listening to experts like me about jobs, about resumes, and about how to be happy in a work environment. So I really want to say thank you again. So I'm going to see you next Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Armed Radio. Let's talk careers with Sarah.